Good evening and welcome to the Clark County Fire District 6 Board of Commissioners meeting, October 5th, 2021. And I would call the meeting to order and ask Chief Russell to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Any additions to the agenda?
None here. None here.
Read and approve the minutes of the September 21st, 2021 regular meeting.
Make a motion to approve and post as necessary.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Citizen communication, this is the time we set aside during our meetings to take any questions or comments from District 6 citizens. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, there is a place that you can put those in chat, and Chief Schmidt will be monitoring that. If they come up, we'll deal with them later on in the agenda. Committee reports, there doesn't appear to be any. I call your attention to the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Chief, go right on down there.
So the first one is the personnel action report. We have two members with 20 years of service this month, Heather Gearing and Casey Taylor. Scott Johns and Jeff Kleen with 19 years. Andre Demeniak with 1 year. And then we have quite a few employees off on injury. We have Heather Gearing on an on-the-job injury. She's been off since September 25th. Sean Crawford on an off-the-job injury since March 18th. Chris Bottomley on an on-the-job injury since May 28th. Jordan Scott on an on-the-job injury since October 1st. And Josh Lawson off on on-the-job injury since October 1st. And then Patrick McGreevy, who had a baby, and he's been off since September 29th.
Thank you.
The next one is the facilities project update, and I'll turn that over to Chief Newberg.
Thank you, Chief Bauer. Mr. Board Chairman and board members, this has become less and less a standard at these meetings because we haven't had as many projects, but we've started kicking that into gear. This is a memo that I sent to the chief that she occasionally will include in the board packet so we can discuss things that are going on. And so basically we're having our meetings again weekly between the chief, myself, and architect. And the architect, there's two architects that are on those meetings. Usually weekly. Occasionally they're spread out a couple of weeks if there's nothing going on. At Station 61, there's a couple of things going on. We've discovered 3 different breaks in the landscape sprinkler lines. 2 on the south side of the building, 1 on the north side of the building. These are big fat sprinkler lines that basically send water to all the landscaping. And we just think that the trees in those areas have started to just break down the pipes. And so it's unfortunate that we're probably gonna have to include that in the remodel. But it's kind of odd we found 3 within the last month. Then secondly, the remodel. We appreciate your direction that you gave us last board meeting, so we're in the process of designing around those suggestions and the funding limitations. So we've removed the shop from the scope, and we're going to go ahead and move forward just some light remodeling. We'll use the small works roster that we do various projects through, and a separate funding mechanism. As for the main station project, we're adding space to the crew wing back here, basically where the fuel pumps are residing, and that will become space for our physical training room, most likely. The fuel pumps we pushed out a ways. There's still plenty of room back there then to turn the vehicles, and so it won't be a huge difference than what you see currently with the fuel pumps, but there's certain setbacks for and things that we have to account for. So the generator will be placed so that future expansion, if the shop does get built, we won't have to remove that or move that to another location. So we'll just keep that in the plan, and there's some spaces that we can utilize for that. On the admin wing, we are looking at adding conference, well, looking at adding space to accommodate conference, meeting room, logistics. So we're just trying to play with that and see how that works out over there. We've removed the covered parking on the south side of the building, and once again discussed relocating the sprinkler system main supply lines. Currently, McKinsey is drafting a proposal for time and materials to evaluate, perform a traffic study that's required by the county for, excuse me, Hayesville Avenue at our south entrance, and how it interacts with 88th Street. So we're going to see how that works out, but it's required by the county, and McKinsey is the one to do that. Any questions on 61?
Fuel pumps, are we gonna get new tanks or move the ones we have?
It's unlikely that the tanks we currently have meet current standards, and we'll evaluate that, but it's likely that we'll have to replace them with new tanks.
Okay, we're gonna do diesel and gas, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the generator, I assume, is going down somewhere by the shop?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just curious. Thank you. That's it.
Station 62, we're still having an ongoing problem with the lights, although it's getting better. This has been a saga that's been going on for, I don't know, a year or more. We've replaced 3 fixtures, and we are replacing 3 more that are currently on order. Once that happens, we'll see if that fixes the problem, and I'm hopeful that it will. Once that occurs, we have discussed improving the control system out there to be similar to what 63 has. The difference between the two is technical, but the long and short of it is we can manage the lights at 63, we can change the programming, we can adjust it to what the consensus of the employees out there prefer and what's safe. We can't do the same thing at 62, and we'd like to be able to, but it comes with a price tag of, over $10,000 to do that. So I'll bring that proposal to the chief for her consideration once we see if this fix works, and then we'll decide if we want to adjust the programming or not. So. That's all I have for you.
Station 3, additional building to house some of our stuff in.
Yes,
Are we
sir.
still working towards that?
So yes, I have some preliminary plans. The problem is that this price of lumber was so high, and that steel was a good alternative. Well, now it's adjusted again so that steel has gone up considerably and the lumber has come down. So I was hoping that this would, I guess, regulate a little bit before, too long we'd have an idea of which direction to go. But I believe I'm gonna need to reach out to another firm to get a wood building bid before we move forward on that. I've got the permit process, I'm in queue, I'm ready to start, I know what permits I have to pull. It's just, I have to deliver a set of plans before I can get permits. So the plans are fairly boilerplate because it's just a school type building. It's not like it has to go through a lot of engineering, and the architect will be only mildly involved in it at all, just for placing it in the right place to make sure we have our setbacks and things. But
Okay.
it's been such a roller coaster with the pricing. We didn't want to.
It's still on the radar though, thank you.
Oh, definitely,
Okay.
definitely on the radar.
Thank you.
I was curious about back to 61. Are we done with the sprinklers for the season?
Yes.
Can you just shut the system down and
Yes.
deal with it?
Yes, we have shut the system down. We have it excavated over here where we know where the break is. We're gonna go ahead and fix it, obviously, since we have it open. But if there's been 3 of them in 1 month that we've discovered, that's just the ones that have been obvious to us. Is there other areas that we're not?
Sure.
The one over on the south side was flowing over the curb. It was very obvious. The one on the north side, it was just because we were sensitive to it by seeing what we had over there. We saw this wet area. It's kind of seeping through the curb, and where the curb and the concrete match or meet. And so we started getting curious about that as we dug. we found these other two brakes or this other brake, so.
No doubt. I was figuring you're gonna be done for the year.
Yeah.
I didn't know what other workload you have that they may be able to do instead of that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I mean, I'm seeing fire hydrants that are still overgrown by blackberries.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know where your priorities are, but it shouldn't be there if it's pouring down rain.
No, I agree.
And so that, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Thank you. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Good.
Apparatus.
To what COVID?
We'll just skip the apparatus.
Or show apparatus. Yeah,
Okay.
COVID, yeah.
Oh, apparatus. So, I just wanted to inform the board, we have one unit, engine 603, that needs a new transmission. The estimate for that is $14,733.55. We went ahead and approved it since it's under the chief's threshold just barely, but I wanted to inform you that we're getting a new transmission. The two new engines have been ordered with the estimated arrival date in October of 2022, so it's a little bit quicker than we originally anticipated. And we are just in the beginning stages of the process of even figuring out what kind of truck we'd like to buy and evaluating the needs of the district. So we don't have any commitment to type or purchase at this time of a truck, but it's on the horizon in our next big project. And then I'm gonna have Chief Newberry update you on 644 because it's been out of service for quite a while.
Before we move on, there was an article in the paper yesterday about Vancouver Fire getting another ladder truck. Is there an opportunity for us to mirror the spec or see if their spec works for us and piggyback and get some value pricing if they have the same desires that we do? And is timing even close, do you know?
I would have to talk to Chief Blue to find out, but yes, I will
Yeah.
investigate that and see if it's a possibility.
Yeah, sometimes there's an opportunity there, and especially if they have, what, 5? It's gonna be number 6, and we're gonna get
Two
1?
trucks.
They have 2, they're talking about adding a third.
I thought they at least have 4.
They only have 2 active in service. And
Well, they got 2
one
parts
in
rigs then. Then anyway, it takes 4 to keep 2 going. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll investigate that, but I'm sure you know about that, and it's like, but if there's any opportunity to piggyback for better pricing, and they're the similar or the same spec or something like that, maybe we can time that right.
Yeah, and we did a similar thing with the 2 new engines. We bought them on a cooperative bid. So you buy the spec of the bid, and it's a lot more cost effective to go that way too. So, but yes, I will talk to Chief Blue.
Sounds good, thank you.
And then I'll have Chief Newberry tell you about 644.
I hate to ask this, but can you tell us the apparatus, like is it engine, the 2000, I don't know what 063 is. Or what.
Sure. So 6-44 is one of the 2 newest rigs we have, 2016 models. The velocities, one of them is engine 61 here, and one of them is engine 63, and obviously Salmon Creek. 644, which is the one here, has been out of service since September 10th. No, August 10th. With some cracking in the body, basically midship, in the pump area on the officer side. The bodies are warranted, so it's not a true, cost to have that repaired. It's covered under warranty. So it was taken over to Hughes on the 10th of August. Thank you. Yes, we're approaching 60 days. I just want to make sure my numbers were right. They have repaired what they call the superstructure, or basically the framework underneath the body, to reinforce it to prevent this cracking. Now, the cracking is not actually appearing to be the body cracking. It is the body filler that's cracking, but still there's twisting and something that's not supported that's causing that. So they have gone in and fixed that superstructure underneath the cab, and then they fixed the body work. Well, they got the truck back to Hughes, and Hughes did not like the paint, appearance of the paint, so they sent it back to the body shop for them to redo it. And they got it back. They also had to wait for, every time they contact Pierce for what Pierce wants them to do to fix the the structure, it takes forever to get a response out of Pierce. Last time it took almost 3 weeks to get a response back from Pierce, and we're beating on, they're beating on Pierce. It's unfortunate. Brad and Andre went over to pick it up last week, and they refused it because there was another crack in the same place. So Hughes then sent it back to their body shop for repair, and the body shop says this is not something that we're gonna be able to fix with body filler. This is something wrong with the superstructure still. So they've had to take that off again. They're reinforcing it again underneath it. It's a whole saga, almost 60 days now. It's about 55 days that it's been gone. I have been relentless in getting information and questioning why it's taking so long, and everything you can imagine short of yelling. And yeah, I don't know when it's gonna be back. So my next concern though is what happens with 645, its sister that's at 63. Are we gonna have similar problems with it? And so once we get 644 back, engine 61, I'm gonna have to evaluate what's going on with 645, engine 63.
And we just ordered 2 more.
And we just ordered 2 more.
It could be a lemon of sort, to where its sister doesn't act the same way.
It could be, but I went back to the factory and they were going down the factory line, one right next to the other.
That's the way they do it since Henry Ford.
Yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating though. It's very frustrating for everybody. And then with the transmission and the other rig going out, we're down to, the base amount of reserves that we need. So good thing is that transmission is going to be repaired. They're supposed to receive it Wednesday. We're hoping to get it back late this week or early next week.
When you say superstructure, you're talking about the on top of the frame rails or the frame rails themselves?
Not the frame of the chassis, the structure that holds the body together.
Right. And have we looked at the sister?
We don't see any
Engine?
cracks on the outside like we did on the one here.
Right.
But we only have what we have, our eyes.
Sure.
We'll need to. I want to take it to Hughes and have them go through it and look very closely at it, see if there's any similarities. They've gone through 644 with fine-tooth comb in those areas. They know it really well now, and I would anticipate that if they saw a red flag with 645, they'd be able to act on it.
Sure, but it would be nothing that would take it out of service as far as the DOT inspection would go. It passed a safety inspection with the DOT, is that right?
Yeah, it's really body filler that's cracking. So
Right.
Yes.
So that doesn't have to do with the traveling and the braking and the safety and that type of thing.
No.
Well, that'd be the main concern.
Yeah.
I think, but thanks for the update.
And then one last item on apparatus, I just wanted to inform the board that in June, you approved a invoice for $15,980.16 from Wireworks. That was to wire the BC rig. We had that work done and it came in $44 over what you approved. So the total was $16,024.82. So.
And that rig's gonna be in service this year?
Yeah.
It's I don't want to speak too soon. As far as I know, it's ready.
Is the training rig in service yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
I saw one red Chevrolet coming out of 63 today, had a light bar on it.
That's training rig.
Okay, well, let's step in the right direction.
Good. Anything else on apparatus from anybody? Any questions before we move on?
Would you like a COVID update? I'm sorry, I forgot to put that on the agenda.
Sure, we have it in our packet, but go ahead.
So COVID is up 5.6% since last week in Clark County. We have a total of 465 cases per 100,000 population right now. So we'd rather be trending down, but we're trending up.
Old business, apparatus lifts.
At the last meeting, the board approved a bid for 2 apparatus lifts for a total of $44,259. Chief Newberry and Brad Osborne did some shopping around and they were able to get them for $41,050.55. So we went ahead and ordered those.
Excellent.
Real quick correction, there's actually 4 lifts, 2 pair.
That would make sense. Any other old business, anybody? Moving on, GMT.
So I just wanted to update the board. I was asked a few questions about GEMT and why the district wasn't securing those funds. GEMT is the Ground Emergency Transport Bill that was passed in House Bill 2007, and it was passed in 2015. So what that bill is supposed to do is bridge the gap between what Medicaid pays and how much it costs an agency to do the ground emergency transport. We are not eligible for GEMT because we work under a contract with Vancouver. So we essentially subcontract EMS District 2 with City of Vancouver. They hold the emergency transport contracts, so they would be the ones that would have to request those GEMT funds. But there is also law that if it is a performance-based contract, you cannot get GEMT money. And the current contract that we are in is performance-based. So there's a couple reasons why District 6 hasn't tried to secure that funding. But just to update you guys.
Yeah, good.
Thanks for clarifying that, Chief.
I guess this really is new business, but I appreciate the information you sent out about turnout times and response times.
Looks like a different format.
We're doing really well. I mean, it's nice to see. Pretty much everything is close between 5 and 6 minutes, which is a great response time. And I think since we put the unit in service in Salmon Creek, that might have gone down a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely decreased with the additional locution in both 62 and 63. So last year in 2020, we weren't trending 6 minutes and below all the time, and so now we are. That new format that you see in your packet is actually from First Watch, and so they built those bar graphs for us. What First Watch does is they will take the direct information from CRESA and input it. The consent agenda that you typically see is from our ESO program, so First Watch is definitely more accurate, and I'd like to transfer at the first of the year to do the First Watch type reports.
Yeah, it's very nice. The graphics are.
Looks like an EKG, we're alive.
And it's interesting, the on-scene time, Station 2 is longer on scene than the rest, probably because they're waiting for an ambulance longer and they're further out. So there's some interesting stuff in here. I like the format.
Yeah, I really do too.
And
It's great.
if we continue to do that, I think it'd be great. I think the public can look at it. I know Vancouver's, they try to do everything in under 8 minutes. We're pretty much close to 6.
Yeah, you're doing good.
So we're doing really well. Congrats, good stuff on our crews and staff for keeping that down where it really needs to be. I appreciate it.
Can you explain what is there's total incidents of 745 for the month and the total responses of 907. What's the?
Yeah, so the
That's the
difference
old one,
between
right?
an incident and a response would be
That's the new one.
if you have
that's
a
the new one,
structure
right?
fire, you may have
I
4
can read it.
responses
I know.
from an incident count in our district, but it's 1 incident.
There you go.
So like our incident count is our incident count. Our response count is typically much higher.
Multiple units. Perfect. Thank you.
Makes sense. Any other new business?
Yeah.
I believe we're going to go into executive session.
Mr. Losbeck, there's one question I heard.
Oh, thank you.
It is from Rocky Haynes, citizen participation. Can someone please explain the board policy on the use of fire district equipment, apparatus, events, and photos for political campaigns?
So
I don't have that memorized, I'm sorry.
essentially the district logo cannot be used without permission of the district, and then it can't be used to further political campaigns.
In its entirety, I'm sure. I'd seen it in years past, but there's images of partial and not entirety logos. It's my understanding, but I'd seen other commissioners in the past be right out the door of a apparatus, and I questioned it, and they go, well, that's who I am, and that's what I do. So there wasn't much that ever came of it. I know that nothing that I have is in its entirety.
We actually have a policy that it's more than a logo.
We do. So district equipment, logos, anything that relates a political campaign back to the district cannot be used. So if it identified the district in any way, whether it be a patch, a logo, signage, it's not supposed to be used in a political campaign.
Duly noted.
Is that it, Chief Schmidt?
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna go into executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.140 relating to collective bargaining issues and negotiations. And how long do you think we need?
Probably just 10 minutes.
Let's do 15 to be,
Okay.
okay, we'll be back 6:45. We'll be back in session. You wanna join us?
Yep.
Okay, we're back from our executive session where we discussed collective bargaining issues, and we took no action. One more item before we adjourn, or go to roundtable. I am gonna be in Tulalip at a WFCA meeting dinner on Tuesday in 2 weeks. Won't be able to attend. I was wondering if the board would be willing to do the Monday instead of Tuesday. Is that good for you, up on shift?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Are you off?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't have a date.
Make a motion that we move the regular meeting to the 18th
Well,
instead of the 19th
Monday?
at 6 o'clock at Station 61.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? I appreciate that, gentlemen.
No
Thank you.
problem.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the secretary will make a note of that and let people know that that's what's gonna happen.
Are you still there?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Roundtable, good of order.
I have one, if you'll care to hear it. I have a neighbor, special needs. I've known her since she was 2 years old, and she got the booster shot of Moderna. And within 24 hours, she had a series of seizures. She had a grand mal seizure, and Station 63 came and took care of her, and she was terrified and had to be transported without her parents, and talked to her and her parents, and the doctor thought maybe she should have only maybe had a half a dose or something through the booster. But they all expressed their appreciation for the professionalism of the fire district and calming of her in the moment that she couldn't be with her parents when she was transported. And they made it as good as it could be, and they totally showed their professionalism, and they shined, and also with the AMR folks, and she is doing fine now. And it was just a scary moment, and I asked her what it was like, and she said it was like a series of flashing in her head that she couldn't control, and it was very, very scary. So thanks to the 63 people and making a bad situation as good as it could be.
It must have been Pfizer, because I can't get my Moderna.
Moderna,
They don't have a booster approved yet.
she's special needs.
That's what she got.
They just said a full shot was
Oh,
probably
they
too
give her
much.
another full one. Okay.
There you have it.
Commissioner Pfeiffer, do you have anything?
No, nothing more to add.
Okay, I was just gonna mention that, the tow truck operator that unfortunately was killed on I-5, we're gonna participate in that procession, which I appreciate. I think it's important. They're first responders to an extent. I think we need to show support for them like we have in the past. And I appreciate you doing that, too.
Do you know if that got filled?
I don't know.
Okay.
I do have one thing to add. I attended the recognition or memorial for the fallen firefighters. Was just last Friday, or I forget what day it was last week. But I was here. I came by 61s with the crews, and they had red lights, and it was a nice event. There was half a dozen or so citizens that stopped, and lots of honks, and so it was a good event.
Thanks for reminding me. I went to Salida because I knew nobody would be there, and I give them a little support, so. And people did honk,
Yeah.
they waved, and
Yeah, it was nice to see the district participate.
good. Okay, hearing nothing else, we need to authorize payment of current bills, authorize monthly commissioner compensation. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We're moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, meeting's adjourned, thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Dave.
Bye, Dave.
Bye, Dave.
All right, thank